Hi, welcome back to Chem with Go. Today we're going to take a look at naming binary ionic compounds. Now, just a quick definition. If it's an ionic compound, it's obviously put together by atoms with charges, or ions. And a binary ionic compound is an ionic compound that has only two different kinds of elements present in the chemical formula. So let me give you an example. Obviously, the simplest example that we can use is NaCl, and most of you would recognize this as sodium chloride. Now, the name sodium chloride comes from the name of the cation, in this case, the sodium ion, and then chloride comes from the chlorine atom, or the chloride ion right here. So the way the name comes about is we name the first element in the compound, then we name the second element, and that would be the last name of the compound. But we change the ending of the name of that element, and instead of it ending in an INE, we change it into an IDE. Now, not all of these second elements would end in an INE, for example, oxygen, but obviously there are exceptions, so we remove the EN, or the YGEN in this case, and switch it over into an IDE. So let's go back to this example so as not to confuse us. So NaCl again has the name sodium chloride. Now note that this originally was a chlorine, but then we went ahead and crossed out the INE and then switched it over to an IDE. Now let's go ahead and take a look at another example. Let's take a look at this formula, Li2O. And this is another binary ionic compound. And the name of this compound, you would think that this would be lithium atoms, and these are oxygen atoms, but the name would be lithium oxide. So the name again would be lithium oxide. And you'll note that this originally was an oxygen, and then what we do is we drop out the YGEN, like I said before, and then switch it over to an IDE. Let's take a look at another example. A little bit more complicated of a name. SR3P2, another binary ionic compound, and the name of this ionic compound would be strontium, which is just again the name of the first element in the compound, and the name of this atom is normally phosphorus, but then what we do is we drop out the OROUS and switch it over to an IDE. So the name of this compound would be strontium phosphide with an IDE. Now, the naming system actually comes from the acronym IUPAC, or International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. There are many rules to this, to the naming conventions, and it gets a little bit complicated, but for guidelines, that's really what we're trying to explain at this point. Again, you could take a look at all the IUPAC rules in the textbook, but as a general guideline, when naming binary ionic compounds, you name the, or to name the compound, you would use the name of the first element, and then the second element as well, but then switch the ending and switch it over to an IDE ending. All right, and that's it for tonight, and I'll talk to you soon.